pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looking for a motion to approve the agenda for the April 8th budget workshop as presented. So moved. So moved by Rich. Second. Second by Cam. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Moving right into our budget discussion. Do you have any opening remarks, or go right to Christine?
No, we'll go right to Christine with it.
Okay.
Thanks for everybody coming out. How is the sound?
Great.
Is it very clear? All right, we're excited. We brought a small crew to be able to be a test run for us, so thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Jordan, for all the work in setting that up. But yeah, we'll turn it over to Christine. This is our April 8th budget presentation, so.
Okay, so the state had an April 1st deadline to enact the budget. There have been 3 budget extenders passed. The most recent one goes through tomorrow. I expect at least one more after that. So I have no idea when we will have an enacted budget from the state. You can see
Could it possibly be tomorrow or no?
They extended it till tomorrow.
they extended tomorrow. I expect they pass another one. They're
No.
not.
They're not even
It's
close.
not school aid that is what's up for debate.
Right, it's other, yeah.
Yeah, so, but as you can see, the state hasn't met that deadline in a number of years. And 1 year, even, way before this, it was like August, so craziness. Okay, so revenues. So what's changed on the revenues since the March budget presentation? So property taxes, pilot's still the same, sales tax the same, miscellaneous. So miscellaneous revenues increased due to account for the sale of the Boston Valley property. So now that is added in miscellaneous as we expect to close on that property sometime in July, which would be the 25-26 budget year. State aid is the same as it has been since January. Medicaid's the same. Use of reserves, we don't have anything budgeted in there for next year. And then fund balance, offering up $2 million of appropriated fund balance for the 25-26 budget. And interfund transfer, again, is the same as it was in March. So the total revenue budget, $88,949,955, compared to last year, $83,911,292, an increase of $5,038,663. So if we looked at assigned fund balance, basically revenues in excess of expenses is what our assigned fund balance is, and it's our unrestricted savings account. So by law, school districts are allowed to, we're limited to 4% fund balance. The 4% is calculated based on the upcoming year's budget. So that $88,955,000 times the 4% is about $3,560,000.
What, do you recall last year, what did we budget from fund balance in order to balance the budget last year?
1 million, if you look at the slide before, 1,177,187.
Right.
But we also budgeted to use reserves and less from the interfund transfer. So if you add those 3 together, it's a total of about $180,000 more for this coming
This year,
budget
yeah.
than this current year. Yep.
And so, is this the right way to think of it? So even though we budgeted to effectively decrease that by $1.177 million, we did not.
No, we're increasing it by $822,000.
No, yeah, hold on. Ignore the current year for now.
Okay,
So last
yep.
year, we budgeted on basically depleting our fund balance to the tune of $1.17 million,
Correct?
correct? We did not, in effect, do that in actuality.
We did not.
In fact, we increased it.
That's correct. Right. Woo-hoo.
So, my point in saying that is that we shouldn't necessarily, although we're budgeting to fill our gap, we're budgeting $2 million in fund balance in order to fill our gap.
right?
That may not necessarily be how the
Right.
year unfolds.
Right, and if you looked at the total from the next slide, the 3,356,000 and the, compared to 3,560,000, we're only adding in the difference of that to fund balance.
Right.
Where the prior year, we went from 1.2 to 3.3, so we added a lot more. So I'm very comfortable appropriating $2 million because we only have to increase it to get to our max 4%. Not as great as the prior year. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, our reserve funds, these are restricted for intended purposes and requirements by law. So the first one, the capital reserve fund, can only be used to finance all or part of an improvement project. So at the end of June 2024, we put in $1.2 million into this fund. You can see that at the kind of light purple color. So I'm projecting at the end of this school year that to grow to $2,233,457 as we allocate additional funds to the capital reserve fund and some interest income in there. The next one is debt service reserve fund, and that can only be used for the payment of principal and interest on bonds. So we will have a ban borrowing at the end of May 2025 as we continue the 2021 capital project. Any premium we receive from the issuer in May will be added to the debt service reserve fund. That's by law where it has to go. So whoever, bids on our bond, we take the lowest bidder, but they offer a premium, and then that premium goes to the debt service reserve fund. So I'm estimating about $500,000 that premium to be. The next one is the unemployment reserve fund. I don't expect to add anything. It's funded at a good amount. We don't need to add. So the only addition is interest income of $6,791. The next one is our ERS and TRS pension reserve fund. ERS non-instructional, TRS is for instructional folks. And that can only be used to pay the district's required contributions to the pension plans for those employees. And I expect to add about $641,526 by the end of this school year of contributions and interest income. And then the last one, EBLAR, Employee Benefit Accrued Liability Reserve. Last year, the board approved to establish this fund with $900,000. And this fund can only be used to pay for accrued leave time, like sick time, vacation time, as per an employee's contract upon separation from the district. So I hope to add another $429,539 to this fund by year end. Any question on these restricted funds? Okay. So again, here's our revenue chart where the light green is the upcoming budget year compared to the purple, which is last year. So you can see that the tax levy's going up a little bit. Pilots are negligible, very similar. Sales tax going down a little bit. Miscellaneous income, we talked about adding the sale of the Boston Valley property in here. State aid, it's an increase, but a lot of that increase is for our debt service. We're not using any reserves this year, as I stated. Use of fund balance, $2 million. Medicaid, I expect to get more because historically we've been getting more than what we've been budgeted for, so I was comfortable increasing that budget, and then inter-fund transfer from the cafeteria fund is increasing. So those are that's the chart for the revenues. So expenses. What's changed since the March presentation? Only two things. So salaries the same, utilities. BOCES is a change. It increased by $229,251 over this past month. So BOCES expenses are occupational ed, the kids who go to BOCES for OC ed, special education placements, software, hardware purchases. Those are the major things. There's a lot of things that we purchase from BOCES, but those are the major expenditures. Sped tuition is the same, pension, social security, workers' comp, health insurance, debt service, transportation. Contractual has changed, but only by $12,000, and that's for insurance. As we finish some of the projects, instead of it being a construction in progress for those buildings, we will be done in Boston Valley and Charlotte by the end of the year. So our insurance on those buildings go up a little bit higher. So that's the $12,000. So now total expenses are $88,949,955 compared to this current year, $83,911,292, an increase of $5 million, $538,663.
What caused us to change our BOCES estimate increase?
So a lot of times, like we will put in like our spots, like how many kids are in this program, like P-TECH or whatever, but they didn't have the prices in yet. So I was estimating. So they're working through a lot of it software that we purchase, and they're negotiating with vendors. So it takes a while to get all those prices in the program. And so that's what happened.
So it wasn't really a meaningful change in how much we
No.
consume, it was just pricing from BOCES?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't have it updated, and I'm just guessing, you know.
Understand.
So.
Yeah.
And then there's the chart that compares the various groups of expenditures, contractual all the way down to, salaries all the way down to contractual and other. Again, the green is next budget year, and then the purple is the year that we're in now. So now we have a balanced budget, revenues equal expenses. So the budget to budget data is here. Our total operating budget, $88,949,955, which you've seen on those slides, and then dollar to dollar increase, $5,038,663, which represents a 6% increase. The allowable tax levy limit, $44,569,417, is right at the tax cap. It does not require a supermajority, just the 50% plus one vote at 3.7%. The dollar to dollar increase, three largest factors in that $5 million are debt service, which is over $1.8 million, salary increases more than $1.1 million, and health insurance over $500,000. So those are the major things that contributed to the dollar to dollar increase. So next steps. So some tweaks. I don't expect like major changes, but when the state does approve the budget, if we're just at 2% foundation aid, nothing will change. If we get a little more, then we'll have a little more revenue. And then transportation expense, that might change. That's the only other thing that I really see changing. We are slated to adopt the budget Tuesday, April 22nd here at 6:30 p.m. Some districts are actually adopting their budget today. I talked to one that's, because I don't really expect much to change from the state. And then we have our budget here Tuesday, May 13th at 6 o'clock. And then we'll be at the farmer's market on Saturday, May 17th from 7:30 a.m. until noon. And Mr. Adams and I will be at PTSA budget, giving budget presentations to the PTSAs on Thursday, April 24th at Armour, and then we'll go over to Hamburg Middle. May 1st, Mr. Adams will do this one by himself at Union Pleasant. May 7th, Boston Valley and Charlotte, and then May 12th at the high school. And just an FYI information, the budget will vote and Board of Election will be held Tuesday, May 20th, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Hamburg High School. where the first proposition is the budget, and then 3 Board of Education seats are up, and then the 3 candidates with the highest vote totals will be elected to 3-year terms beginning July 1st, 2025, ending on June 30th, 2028. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Are questions open to the audience?
Not yet. Next meeting,
At
right?
the budget hearing?
The budget hearing.
At the hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the hearing.
And at all of the PTSA presentations
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
So it seems like in the last 2 years, do you have the number offhand? I've been trying to do the math. How much we've added to reserves in last year and what we're expecting to add to reserves this year in total?
Not off the top of my head, but I can
But
get that
I
to you
basically just
pretty.
add up those
I think it
those
was
different purples, right?
I want to say 2.9 last
That's
year.
roughly what I had in my mind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, like 2,919, something like that. 2,919,000. The year before that, when Doug was here, I don't know.
Yeah, I've got it.
I-
I've got that as 1.4, and then
Okay.
moving to, in terms of what we've changed from is roughly, based on the reserves I'm looking at, is about a 2.5 million increase from last year to this year is what I have. But if you've got different numbers on it, we can check on that to get
Yeah,
some clarity
yeah.
to it.
How are we affected by a late budget? You know, they say that Governor Hochul is in no hurry to,
Right.
get this budget done. So, what is how does that affect us, as it gets later and later? I remember those ones that, were real late, but
Right. So our deadlines don't change. We have to adopt our budget, I forgot, it was like 28 days before the hearing or something like that. Yeah, our deadlines don't change. So if we don't have a budget, we still have to adopt our budget. Even the year when the budget passed, or finally, the state budget was finally given in August, we still had to have the budget vote the 3rd week of Tuesday in May. So our deadlines do not change.
and we just live off the tax revenue, local tax revenue until the foundation aid comes in, or? I mean, is there
Well,
ever a time when,
We don't get the foundation aid until, like, we get we don't get any over the
Right.
summer anyway. We get in September, and so it comes in pieces. We get our tax revenues in October. So you kind of, normally you'll see like July and August operating in the red at every school district, because you just don't have money coming in.
Can you speak a little bit to, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I could have sworn at the last meeting, we were concerned about we were at a deficit and some things had changed that now we're a balanced budget.
Well, because we didn't say what we were gonna offer from the unrestricted fund balance to
Okay.
so that $2 million.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why
what I
there
was-
was a deficit.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Because we didn't
We didn't know.
put
where we were
anything
gonna
in
find
that, so, yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
I am curious, I feel like, based on what I understand about how the state of New York operates and funds its schools, we are a little bit insulated from what's happening at the federal level, but can you speak to that at all? Are we concerned at all what's happening at the federal level?
Me personally, no, but I'll let Tom answer that.
We are cautiously optimistic that we'll maintain roughly the same level of federal funding that we've had. This year, we're working with 2 million in federal, and it's that's certainly real money that impacts real kids and real staff members and real ways that we operate. One thing that we're going to be doing over the next, tomorrow we'll be meeting as a group that includes some leadership from our bargaining units and talking about what exactly that money goes towards and what our plan would be should, we do want to take a look at a worst case scenario situation. Again, we don't believe that's where we're going to be, but then trying to scale it back to like, all right, what if it's a middle range? What if the funds in Title IIA, which would go towards professional development, what happens if those get cut? How would that impact us? So it's not something that we're not blindly having faith that it's going to be there, but at the same time, we are fairly optimistic that it'll be there, but we've got a plan for the possibility of it not. And so we want to make sure we're bringing in, district leadership, but also people who represent the folks who come to work here each day and work with their kids each day.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
The reason I'm optimistic is because there are a lot of school districts, that get a much higher percentage of title funding and special ed funding than we do. So the politicians who represent those, small rural districts who are getting like 30% of their budget, funded with federal dollars, they're lobbying hard. I just don't see it happening, but I'm an optimist.
There's a lot of times on the federal level, they'll talk about it being 10% roughly, and it's not even close to that for us.
Right.
So just, but it's impactful.
Right.
Like 2 million's impactful.
Right.
In a big way. If there's concern about the idea of assigning a portion of our fund balance to close that budget gap, and I won't name district names, but just taking a look at some of the districts near us, a smaller district near us allocates 1.86 million. Another district 1.77, another district 3 million, that's smaller than us, 3 million plus 570 in reserves. Another district takes 5.7 million in fund balance and 1.7 in reserves. So, every situation is individual, and we've got to deal with our financial realities as they are. And we all know that we were considered susceptible to fiscal stress not too long ago. But we're in a position where we feel that 2 million is there's. I don't give ourselves too much credit, say there was wisdom in it, but it's clear thinking that's wrought that.
Yeah.
It's not saying like, we'll just take a chance.
No, I think that's what you're demonstrating. So I just wanted to know if my understanding of how New York State and how this district is operating is accurate.
Appreciate the question.
And that 2 million, more along the lines of, I don't know if safety net's the right word or not, basically to make sure that we have budgeted enough money for what we intend to spend. It's not necessarily what we're going to spend, because at this point, you're looking forward. Which is why you don't always go to the end of this. You have that, there's a good chance you'll have that at the end of still have that at the end of the year.
Yes.
Not spent.
Yes, we budget conservatively, not
Which you
to
can
the.
see happened in a couple years ago where it was spent.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Seeing no other questions, I have a motion to adjourn the budget work session.
So moved.
Second by Laura,
Seconded.
second by
Mary?
Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned and I've got about a half hour.
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a motion to approve the agenda for the April 8th, 2025 Board of Education meeting as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Laura. Second. Second by Cam. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. We are in session. First item is our recognition and presentations. for
Yes,
our
indeed.
Women of Distinction Rank.
Yeah, so shortly after our March board meeting, we received an email from Assemblymember John Rivera's office, and he wanted to let us know that his district, the 149th, I'll remember that now, I didn't have that down, but the mighty 149th district was honoring two of our excellent staff members. One of them could be here tonight. Tina Lamondola couldn't be here, but Casey Marcella can. So Casey, I'd like you to come on up, please. She now has her second award ceremony for this very, we're just piggybacking on. Come on over, we're gonna have, like, the picture will be with the logo. Let me do a little reading first. Board President Tom Flynn will be joining us. Casey Marcella, certificate of recognition for being nominated as a 2025 Women's History Month Women of Distinction for New York State District 149, presented by Assemblymember Jonathan Rivera. We are grateful for all that you do to make Hamburg a proud community where students are able to create, care, solve, and discover. Thanks to the influence you have on all the youngsters in front of you every day, but also your colleagues who you work with and all the great folks at Union Pleasant as well. And thanks for being part of this work and inspiring us. Thank you. Congrats, Kate.
Congratulations.
And I want to congratulate Tina Lamondola for all of her work as well, and we'll make sure that she gets this certificate as well. So, thank you, everybody.
Moving on to just information items, board briefings, basically the minutes from our last meeting. I think one or two things for our items at our desk for information. Future board meetings. We got a second regular meeting in April, regular board meeting, which will be also here at Armour Elementary, basically to approve the BOCES budget. We'll probably have a couple of items on that. Our May 13th, Tuesday, May 13th, we'll have our budget hearing, which will also be here at Armour Elementary, followed by our regular meeting at 7 o'clock. The board vote, as we mentioned, is May 20th, and then our June meeting, June 10th, is also here at Armour. Upcoming meetings, workshops, there's one coming up on Thursday for ECSB with Twist on Tech. I know I'm going, I think Dave, you're going.
yes.
Some NSBA online seminars we want to take. There's just a little bit of just one small budget transfer for information. So moving on to our board committee and individual reports, we'll start with our student rep, Anna.
So, as you guys know, we had threaded together and that went pretty well. I'm happy about the outcome. A lot of people came and not most of the clothes, but like a lot of clothes were taken, which is good. We made almost $400 from our basket raffle, and the proceeds are going to be split between our two organizations that we voted on that student government voted on. And then the rest of the clothes was taken by Buy Nothing, which is a group that will distribute the clothes to people in need. And then my only other thing is student government elections took place last week, so we have our officers decided for next year. They're not out yet, but they've been voted on, so that's exciting.
Public. Sorry, embargoed.
Yeah, it's top secret, I guess. But that's it from me.
Thanks. Great.
Our transportation meeting is occurring on Thursday morning, so I don't have anything to report for that. We haven't had a technology meeting yet. We did have our tour of the high school, which was effectively my 20-year reunion, which was lovely. I enjoyed the tour very much. Apparently, I learned that you were my assistant vice principal. I did not realize that until now, so that was fun.
Can you tell us more?
I can tell you more. There are a couple of teachers that are still teaching that were also my teachers, Mrs. Losey being one of them. So it was really nice to see her. and talk to her and learn a little bit more about like the LMC and how that's changed. And the esports was very exciting for me because that was not a thing when I was a kid, but it was definitely a thing that would have been great if I had been there. I got to do a little top hat in earth science. I didn't actually catch the teacher. I was very proud to say that I was in the ranked top 5 before I had to go. Still remember my earth science. All that is to say, it was really cool to get the tour, to see the capital improvements. But even though some things have changed, it's only been for the better. It was a really lovely tour. I don't need to do anything else for another 20 years. Thank you.
Dave?
We had our Erie County Association of School Boards legislative team meeting on March 20th. They talked about Lobby Day when they head to Albany. 16 people from the team headed down there from various school districts. They met with 8 different representatives. And some of the, I won't go into depth of what they talked about, but the cell phone or band or whatever you want to call it was always the discussion with every rep. And so we kind of got into it, talking about it. And so the Erie County Association legislative team came up with their own letter, mostly based on, we want local control. We're not, saying we don't want a ban, but we do want local control, that, we can come up with our own plan and not have one forced on us, certainly no one likes, what Lackawanna did. That was kind of, at least I expressed that at the meeting, and that lady from Lackawanna really wants to kill me. And, that's just kind of what we came up with. So, we have to wait and see. If you watch the budget online, you can see that the Senate and the Assembly and the governor all want a plan. So it's coming. So, hopefully they will give us a little bit more local control. Hopefully, maybe it doesn't come. Maybe the money gets cut out of the budget, which would be awesome. But it's here. Some of the other things they talked about, of course, the foundation aid formula. If we could ever get that thing changed, that would be wonderful. BOCES aid, special ed reserve fund, and of course, a real true 2% tax cap. So then we review all the bills that we're watching. We look to see if they have, if someone from the Assembly has a companion bill in the Assembly and so forth. So we keep, it's pretty interesting. We have the software that we watch. We can go in and watch the bills that are towards education. So I won't go into any more depth, but that's what we did at the legislative team meeting. Now, also, are you going to talk about us Florida thing, or the winning that?
Well, you're already on the,
All right.
Some of your fellow board members weren't excited about it.
I know, that's unbelievable. So we had our own NCAA, March Madness pool.
No wagering.
And
No money put down.
every school got a team, and somehow we got Florida. And so we won, and we're gonna get some kind of a dinner or something. I remember looking at the list when it was picked, and I was like, I can't believe we got Florida, And so what a great game that was too, that they came back to make sure that we all got a meal or some dinner somewhere, that Mary is.
Oh, I didn't realize we didn't put any money in the.
Yeah, right, no, you didn't, you didn't pay
You
for free.
you just said we're gonna all
All
have
right, well,
dinner.
Mary's coming now,
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't understand that
So-
there was no money exchanged.
No,
Okay.
no, we're good, so that's, yes,
It
it'll
was
be a lot
just
of
for
fun.
fun, I
Yes.
see.
And Harkness Center is gonna be a lot of fun. So, we're gonna go over, they have an aviation program at Harkness, and I'm sure we'll be well fed, so that should be a lot of fun. So we're always at Potter Road, it's good to see, Harkness and, what the other OCs are doing. That's all I got.
All right, I've got a couple of things. I was also at the high school visit, and I think what impressed me the most walking through the building and being in and out of classes is the level of engagement that the kids had with the teachers. Like every classroom we were in, there was lots of interaction going on. There wasn't somebody just sitting and lecturing. You heard kids talking, walking around. Mr. Carneth with the Kahoot game I loved watching. So I think about all those look-fors we've talked about at previous meetings, and you saw all of them as you were walking through that building. Mr. Krangle did a great job with the tour, and I love that weight room up there, it's amazing. Parent-child connection, I mean, truth, they really do amazing work. I'm so happy to be on that committee. I was not able to attend the ADHD presentation that was given, and it was held at Frontier High School. I had a conflict, and there were over 30 people there. So that is really great for our weeknight presentation. And I heard it was very good, lots of great information. The one that I was able to come to was the partnership that Parent-Child Connection did with the PTSA, the Creating with Kindness workshop. That was one of the best ones I've ever been at. There was so much interaction going on at the tables. Dinner was provided, which was really nice. But the best part to me was the student panel that they had, talking about TikTok and social media usage. And I loved the family that said that they were there trying to decide if they were going to give their child a cell phone yet or not. He did not have one, and they were listening to the students, and you could see their son going, yay, because the students were talking about all the great things that they use it for. Like, you know, well, I have this that's helping me with my graduation, and this helping me with my interests outside of school, and so that was great. It was a really nice presentation. It gets a little quiet right now as far as what's being planned, because the scholarship applications are coming in through Parent-Child Connection, so they'll be reviewed and then awarded. So that's what they're working on now. What else? Strategic planning was absolutely amazing, and I feel super fortunate because I think I was at the first strategic planning when we came up with vision, mission statement, and one of the things that I liked about this one, and maybe it's just from being at previous ones, is, you know, we have chart paper that goes all over, and there's input from all different kinds of staff. It's not just teachers when we're there, and everyone's participating, people from the community, PTSA, and I've seen the things that get written on their chart paper get implemented the next year. So when I see Brent and Colleen taking them down, they're not going somewhere where they're just going to be, you know, glanced over. There's actual changes that have taken place over, you know, X amount of years that we've seen implemented. So I loved being a part of that day. I think it's really special. And I like seeing the interactions with all the different buildings. Also, the trip down memory lane, Mr. Adams, was fantastic to see the history of Hamburg, and I hadn't really seen it like that with the photos, and just the way that especially Union Pleasant started was really great. So thank you. And I thought I had something else. Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Really, the only thing I got is the high school visit, just a couple things that stood out for me. I love being able to see the esports. It was something that is fairly new, so seeing something that we saw generate initially from Pat Worth with his idea of wanting to do it and talking through it, and seeing it from conception was really awesome to see what they do, and some of the stories he had about some of the kids was really cool. There's also, I thought it was amazing seeing the quiz and how, and it was not staged out, I don't think it was in any way, that, you know, to get an idea of how kids use cell phones in school.
That's
Because
cool.
they were taking the quiz, they were taking the
Doing the lift
doing the
in
quiz
there.
on,
Yeah.
on their phones. So it kind of mine too. Like I said, the interactions are amazing. But that's I got.
Okay, I have a number of updates, so I'll move quickly. Obviously, I was at the building visitation committee, and rather than sort of rehash what a great visit it was, because it was, I just want to say that my appreciation to the board for taking the time. That's not easy to take an afternoon out of your day and go watch kids, but I think it's among the most important things we do, right? Is to be able to see how the kids interact with the teachers, how our capital investments affect the students, and I think at the high school, that's sort of best on display, as well as anywhere in the district. So again, I just want to thank the board for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do that, and continuing to do that. The IDA has met several times. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow morning, first thing. Over the past month, we've extended a number of projects locally. We extended the Escalo project, which is 17 long, behind the poorhouse there. We also did reassigned some benefits for Johnson Brewing. So there's all sorts of different investments and companies that the IDA is helping understand. Johnson Brewing is not in the Hamburg schools, but I thought it might surprise some of you that was actually something that the IDA has helped support. So it's all kinds of, although it's the industrial development agency, we get creative with the types of businesses that we help grow in Hamburg. The policy committee meeting, we actually meet April 22nd, which is right before our BOCES vote meeting. So looking forward to that. I understand we have some BOCES issued policies we're going to be reviewing and discussing. The strategic planning meeting, that was just so great. Laura captured it well, so I won't rehash all of it. But I think, what we did do that I found a particular benefit was sort of actually reading the strategic plan was actually a really good process, and sort of getting the feedback. It was a real demonstration in shared decision making to see how that feedback gets incorporated and changes into the strategic plan. From my perspective, got a great look at Portrait of a Learner, which was sort of not a new concept to me, but I guess the details were a new concept to me, and how graduation and our expectations of students may change in the coming years with the Portrait of a Learner, and having some unique learners in my own house. I think it was very educational to see how new standards could be applied. Not every child is going to view school the same way, and it's nice to see that alternative learners are going to have some alternative options. And then the closing video, if you guys hadn't seen it, we got a sneak peek on it. It was posted to the YouTube page. I mean, if you get through that, you're not a human being. The AOF, I know it's not a formal committee, but the AOF, I'm a mentor there. I'm also the chair of the scholarship committee. So we've got a scholarship application, which is really exciting. We're interviewing 38 students for the scholarship, which is going to be a really cool experience. I'm looking forward to that. And the BOCES annual meeting is tomorrow. I'll be happy to attend on behalf of the district if you guys would like. It's also where the component districts are invited to hear from the BOCES candidates directly, which of course I am one. As I understand, I am one of the 3 for the 3 open seats, so it's looking pretty good. I'm optimistic about my chances, but I'm going to go and sort of address the component districts and say why I think I'm a good candidate. And I will certainly share back with the group any findings we have related to their annual meeting, but you guys should get the annual reports, probably already have the annual reports. It's worth a glance. They do a good job of sort of laying out their budget and finance, but I'm going to stop there. That's all I got.
All right. We have not had a safety meeting since the last time we had our report from March. I know there's one coming up, but there's nothing to report there. A month ago, we did have a facilities meeting, and I know that it probably was reported on then, but I know the guys from Turner are going to give us a pretty detailed update, so I won't go into that. I will say, though, I'm not surprised with any of the changes that I see to our capital project because of the economy, the way everything's going. If you saw any of the media posts about what's going on at the new Highmark Stadium, and the estimated original budget was like somewhere around 1.4 billion or something like that. It's now up to over 2. So, all of the costs that are increasing around the world are having an effect on everything, including capital projects for school boards. So I know the guys will give us a detailed report in a little bit. And the high school building visit was fantastic. I thank you for setting it up and doing all those things, Cam. it's great to get in there and spend so much time. We were there for, you know, a couple hours. I thought that was fantastic. And it's also nice to see so many board members be able to take the time off and get there. I know it's hard to do. We were doing them in the mornings for a while, and I don't know what's better, afternoons or mornings. I have a lot of flexibility, so it's easy, but I know all of you don't, so I do appreciate that. You know, getting so many of us in front of the kids and walking around and seeing the teachers interact and how the kids respond to the administrators, Mr. Adams and Mr. Kringle. I mean, you know, they love our teachers and they love our principals and our administrators, and everybody does such a great job. And I'm always so impressed whenever we can get a chance to walk around and interact with them. So, great job by everybody, and that's all I have.
All right, the easy thing about going last is mostly everybody's covered everything. Laura covered PCC for us. The building visit was great. I will echo that. The high school and Mr. Krinkle were great hosts, and thank you for everybody for coming. PTSA, we just met last night. Well, a lot of our buildings are working on their budgets for next year, working to get those approved before our next meeting. Everybody is starting to look towards Teacher Appreciation Week coming up at the end of this month, beginning of May, and looking at their end of year events. The meat raffle was a success for the middle school. Thanks to everybody who came forward and just the community in general. It was such a success, they're looking to do it next year too. So they're locking down a date for that. We talked a little bit about the budget vote coming up. There will be a chicken barbecue that night that the high school is hosting as a fundraiser. So for everybody that will be attending, you can pre-order your chicken dinner if you're interested in eating that. I know I'll be getting one. So Widener's, I believe. Widener's, yeah.
You always have to pre-order those. You can't
They'll
chance
sell
it
out.
on the day.
No, you gotta buy them. Gotta buy them. So I can, if anybody's interested, I can send out the link, but
I'm sorry, what day was that again?
That's budget vote day, the May 20th.
May 20, oh, what's a great day to get
It's a
chicken.
great day, everybody will be there. And if you are not already a PTSA member, those memberships are still available for purchase. We are very close to meeting our goal this year. We just need a few more, so if you didn't get it yet, please do. That money goes towards supporting all the events that we run and covering the insurance so that we can run those events. That's it from me.
Thanks. Moving on to our capital project update. Sean?
All right, everybody. Happy April. Feels like February. Summer's coming. You can see on the report a couple things I was going to point out quick before we get into close. On our ongoing upcoming work schedule, in the box at the top right, you can see that we have started going after the boiler room. We found a pathway to start the boiler that has been defunct for a while now, number 2. So that is under demolition as we speak this week. A few other things you see coming up soon is you see high school room 150 renovations. That's going to get a similar facelift that you saw in rooms 151 and 153 before those. We're starting that work over this April break. Along with the fire shutter doors at Boston Valley and Charlotte, you see on the list there, that's also going to happen over April break, kind of close out things with those buildings. Then the update on the barn, the spray foam installation and painting is basically completing the next 2 days. And then we'll have the MEPs, the heating and the electric going in, and that'll wrap up the barn. As far as financials, you'll see a quick thing to highlight is just down in that box, the change management box, excuse me. The pending change orders listed as 4. There's a total of 3 changes for approval today, with a total of $70,000. Again, that's basically full renovations of room 150, some additional changes to cabinetry in the Charlotte Art classroom to upgrade things there for her. And then also, if you saw the high school vestibule, got a little bit of a facelift. That's in there, along with some additional paperwork we found in the basement a while back, to basically give that basement a full clean bill of health in terms of any asbestos-containing materials down there.
Was that, sorry, can I ask a question about that abatement?
Yeah.
So was that the sort of thing like, we're here, we've got all the abatement equipment, it's cheaper for you guys to add to this now rather than
Precisely.
us come back in a year or whenever?
Yeah, so report-wise, everything down there was basically been stated. Once we're done with the full scope that was on the drawings, we realized we found another several hundred, if not a little over 1,000 linear feet of insulation, piping that was not scheduled for abatement. As far as we know, it's the last thing down there.
Okay.
That we could find, so it's, you got these guys here, it's expensive to get a contract like that out here.
That makes sense, yeah.
Take care of it now while we have the funds in high school to do so. So getting into the photos, you'll see this is the barn. This was basically progress as of last week. It is fully enclosed. There is spray foam and intumescent paint nearing completion inside that barn, if you want to look today. And then these are just some mechanical pictures from down the basement, the work you don't really see, but it has been going on first shift and second shift this entire school year in preparation for this big summer 2 transition to the new heating and cooling systems. Quick schedule highlights, really just about where we are, things that have changed.
It's me, sorry, I put my paper on the microphone. Sorry. First day with the new mic. sorry.
Big update you can see is that really phase 2 is just where it's been, tracking fine. Phase 3, we did open into the bid period because we got approved that to be a little early. Originally slated for May, that is now being opened 22nd of April. And then we'll start construction as soon as school's out there on the playground and the ceiling and lighting renovations in about 37 spaces here. And then phase 4 is obviously in for SED review. That's the Union Pleasant project. We're still on track there, expecting to bid that out in the fall. And that's it. Oh, sorry. We're going to talk about this is just an overall schedule for the next referendum. Nothing really changed. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Moving on to our report from our superintendent, Mr. Adams.
So early. Thanks everybody for coming out. And again, if you weren't here before, we got a new microphone system, so we're hoping that's adding to a little bit of the experience for those here and those at home also. I wrote out the words I was going to say because I sometimes get a little unnerved about my lack of extemporaneous ability, but I'm just going to talk because this is a meeting and I'm just going to talk instead of being scripted with it. It's fascinating to see how much our vision statement of create, care, solve, discover fits what we're talking about here. If I can point out Emma, I mean, she gave herself a very, very brief description of what that Thread Together event was. It was remarkable to be able to see how that came from an idea at a student government meeting, and then it took her leadership and her vision and her care to bring everybody together to make that so, and to have the support from our PTSA there as well. It was really a sort of, this is a why we do what we do, so we can be inspired by the people around us and hopefully setting the environment where these types of things can happen. I credit the PTSA and Parent-Child Connection as well for that. That's a connecting event. Like literally, they're connect with care. It's like they took care, took care, create, solve, and discover, and then added joy, value, and connection to it to make the title for their event. I mean, like it fits the work that we're doing, and it was incredibly well received. I love being part of strategic planning. I always enjoy it. This was a different version of it for me. But the idea of being able to sit together with people at tables that were populated by people who represented different buildings in the district, different constituent groups, different stakeholders, and to say, here's 10 things we like about the strategic plan. Here's 10 things that we think need to be shored up or strengthened or perhaps not included in the strategic plan. That was like a rich conversation. I come from a long line of giving observations to principals who were in my classroom where I tried to make group work really happen. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. This was group work that really the discussions were, it wasn't like we were all in agreement all the time. It wasn't like saying, we do everything great already, so we don't need to do anything else. This was good, in-depth conversation, and I was just happy to be part of that. We'll be taking those ideas that came from all that chart paper, and we'll be talking with the strategic planning committee in May, we'll put out some information to them, and then in June, we'll present that to the entire board. And that'll be sort of a platform from which we work for our July strategic planning meeting, which will be on July 14th, I believe. There's so many different events. Please don't take an omission of one as being a lack of importance, but one that I did want to point out is on Thursday night, I was able to attend an event called Fusion 2025. And that was a group of many seniors from throughout the Erie One BOCES, our folks from Potter. We had 4 seniors there, and it was a fashion show. It was a fashion show that had 9 different themes. It was completely produced by the students. There was a runway. It was at Salvatore's. There was no dinner, Dave. But there's no. It was to see the families cheering their kids on, who were both the designers and the countless friends they had modeling. We had a student. It was Olive was there, August was there, Carmela was there, and Madison was there, and they were. And it's probably those are probably good names for us to recognize at the May meeting. They did just a remarkable job. Olive is a student who was in charge. She and another student who was from a different school but coordinated the whole event, and it was fashion is creating caring and solving discovering, and this is something that you as a board support with that Erie One budget, and our teachers support. And our staff supports in terms of kids finding where they fit most, and it was pretty glorious. A few weeks ago, I attended the building corps meeting at the high school. All right, and this is sort of like a continuing of the thread of what we've been talking about with the distraction-free school idea from that we might be seeing very, very soon. And the question put forth to the building corps meeting was, what's your thoughts on our current practice at the high school? And the high school is the one school in the district where phones are teacher discretion. The rest is sort of an away for the day type idea with it. And it was such a, and I know I gave you an update on this, but it was such collegial discussion of people who represented people who were their own department. I mean, it was sort of representative democracy in action with it. And the majority, certainly the vast majority, certainly are very comfortable with the practice as it is. Most found value with using the phones in classrooms to one degree or another. There was a group that didn't, but I want you to know that the dialogue there was exactly the way you want it to be. I mean, talk about modeling how we want people to talk to each other, both students and adults alike. So I was happy to be part of that conversation too. And again, we've got the unknowns. We don't know what is going to come out with that state budget. But the fact is that dialogue is ongoing, and if it comes to pass that it needs to be banned bell to bell, that'll be that implementation talk is what is going to be the next stages of that. But that remains to be seen with that. But why don't I wrap up with this? I want you to know a few things. Lip syncing at the middle school level is alive and well. It's solid. Recess is tremendously popular, and I know that's not a surprise. But I've been able to get out there a little bit with the recess folks at the various elementary schools. We were not part of the CBT testing issues today, just so you know, and we're pleased with that. And thanks for all those who made that happen. And I'll echo what Cam said. That video, which I think people can see in the s'more as well. It was included in the newsletter. So it's just it's a wildly wonderful demonstration of what this place is. So thank you. That's it for me.
I was with the Orchard Park teacher this morning, and she was telling me about the issues they were having in Orchard Park, but that we'd heard that perhaps there were struggles near us. Orchard Park was one of them. Glad to hear we weren't.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on more to the business part of this evening's meeting. I'll start with our consent items. Moving to, at this time, we're going to do the F consent items as well as the G financial items. At this time, any board member can make a request to withdraw a specific item from the consent agenda for individual consideration from either the F or G items. Is there any such request at this time?
Yes, I'd like a separate discussion on G5, please.
G5? Anyone else? Okay, so looking for a motion to approve all consent items F2 through G4.
So moved.
So moved by Cam,
Second.
second by Rich. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Moving on to item G5. Looking for a motion to approve upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the internal audit risk assessment corrective action plan.
So moved.
So moved by Cam.
Second.
Second by Dave. Questions, comments?
So on the question, the second item in that correction, the second finding in the audit was basically that we weren't updating the quoted price when the actual price was different on certain items. And the corrective action effectively states, we will update it. My question is that strong enough? And I can, just speaking from my own experience, when we go through audits in my company, usually the corrective action involves a work instruction getting updated or a training document getting updated. Is this sufficient? Is it sufficient to say, well, we'll just do better next time? Or do we actually need to say, we have a protocol that is being updated, we have a document that's being updated?
Right, so we have, back when Doug was the business official and there was an internal audit, what came of that was that there was no accounting procedures manual. So when I came on board, that's the first thing I created. So now to implement this, this change, again, it only happens, like if someone forgets the shipping cost, then we'll add that to the PO. This, what they found was just a minor price adjustment, because Staples and Amazon change their prices daily. So by the time the teacher, puts in the order, by the time we actually receive it and invoice the goods, there's a price differential. So it was very minor. It was a couple of dollars. Whenever there is a major change or something was forgotten, the PO is updated. What they want us to do is just write it on the purchase order that there's an adjustment. So that accounting procedures manual that I talked about, I will update that. But this corrective action plan goes with our internal audit to state that. I have to actually, after the board approves that, upload it to the portal so that the state sees it. So to answer your question, we'll just put we will put our notation or adjust the PO if it's more than a couple of dollars because of price change in the accounting manual.
Okay, so I would have
So it's a
expected our
procedure.
corrective action to say, our accounting manual section whatever has been updated, but you're saying that because we need not have an accounting manual, because we didn't for a while.
Right,
That
right,
wouldn't be
right.
appropriate comment. Rather, we can just say, we will stop this practice or.
Yeah, I mean, what I wrote was what the auditor's recommendation was. So
Okay.
we will comply with the auditor's recommendation, notate it,
This
because
discussion.
that's what they want to see,
I'm good.
right?
How does our policy reflect what you
our-
two just said?
Yeah, I mean, policy does not get into details
Yeah.
about how a PO is updated in the books. It just says, I don't know what it says, but probably something to the effect of, we have
We
a
create
PO
POs,
process,
yeah.
right? That would be more a regulation maybe, and even the regulations probably don't get into that level of detail.
Right.
I'm good. I appreciate you giving me that background.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Okay, moving on to our action items then. Item H1, can I have a motion to approve an agreement between Hamburg Central School District and Canisius University Whaley School of Business for credit articulation?
So moved.
So moved by Laura,
Second. Sorry.
second by Mary. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Item H2, can I have a motion to approve memorandum of understanding between Hamburg Central School District and Horizon Health Services regarding provision of services to students in need?
So moved.
By Laura, second by Mary. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item H3, can I have a motion to approve a farm-to-school coordinator agreement effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026?
So moved.
So moved.
That's a good one.
We all want in a second by Ashley. I was gonna say this.
He's the
Questions,
second.
comments? Ashley, I think was the second.
Did she?
correct?
I have a question. I have some comments on the question. Now, the person that runs this, does such a great job. And so she's getting this amount of money, and I know the hours she works, so it's somewhere around $1.19 an hour, right? And she does such a wonderful job. Don't we all love her? And,
Is she in the room right now?
yeah, no. But,
She's in a giving garden.
yeah, she's probably working on this, but what a great program this is, how she grew this program, and this, for this small little stipend, it is, you know, it's not, but I just like to say she does a wonderful job.
Yeah,
Don't
this
you
is
think
like
so?
the coolest thing.
Yeah.
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 So, all right. that's very good.
Seconded.
Thirded.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Item H4, reimbursement of medical expenses. Can I have a motion that the Board of Education of the Hamburg Central School District reimburses a sum not to exceed $1,340.12 for medical expenses related to injuries sustained by a student during school activities?
So moved.
Moved by Laura, second by Rich. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I didn't ask it.
I was gonna say,
I'm
I
waiting.
was waiting
Whoa,
for you.
I was 100% waiting.
Jeez, totally was waiting.
Give me pause.
The joke is that I always ask, should we look into insurance for this
Yeah.
sort of thing? And the answer is always the insurance is
Way-
much more expensive than the expense itself.
Okay, moving on, so you mean coming in?
Yeah. Well, Mary was looking at me like she didn't know what I was talking about. so
No, I
explained
knew
it.
exactly what you're talking about.
Moving on to
I was
H5.
excited. I'm checking
Ma'am.
up on my notes.
Can I have a motion to approve the change orders 201-07, 201-08, and 201-09 for the capital project Phase 2 work?
So moved.
So moved by Rich,
Second.
second by Laura. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Item H6, can I have a motion to authorize the seeker negative declaration regarding the proposed sale of district property on Zimmerman Road?
So moved.
So moved by Mary,
Second.
second by Rich. Questions, comments?
Why isn't this not dated? Why isn't there a date on this? Just wondering. Will there be a date? Someone's gotta sign this, right?
Well, this isn't the contract.
No, I know that, it says contract in it, but,
Well-
you know, but it's not dated, but that's all right, okay, well, this seems odd.
I actually had a question about, it reads as though it's the contract.
Yeah.
Like the final resolution, I lost my board docs here, I can't pull it up, but
Yeah, I'm cheating.
it reads as though we're giving the superintendent permission to execute the agreement.
And if I can, I don't know if this is the right protocol for me to answer. So I think last month's had that same notation on there, that
Yeah.
it sort of allowed me to move forward. So this allows me to move forward to get to a point where the contract is going to be brought forth to you. Perhaps that's the May 13th meeting.
So there is still a contract.
There is
act.
still another step, yeah.
Enough said.
Okay.
It does say
But you're
considering.
right, it seems like things could be just all done after this. But it's the same language that was used, I think, at the end of last one, which gave the permission to
Is
do this study.
Okay.
Further necessary documents, including a deed. It sounds like a contract, but it's mostly just saying, we agree that it's gonna happen for these reasons. It's not actually that we're basically just giving you a very official, you can do this,
Kicking it down the road.
yeah.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Item H7. I have a motion to authorize a seeker negative declaration regarding the proposed sale of district property on Legion Drive.
So moved.
So moved by Laura,
Seconded.
second by Mary. Questions, comments? Basically the same thing, but for the Legion Drive property. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Item H8, can I have a motion to approve the legal notice for the annual Board of Education election and budget vote on May 20th, 2025?
So moved.
So moved by Ashley.
Second.
Second by Mary. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Item H9, can I have a motion to approve Christine Lundberg as Chief Election Inspector?
So moved.
Second. So moved by Laura, second by Cam. Questions, comments?
Does she wear a special hat or badge?
No.
Only
Should get a
everyone.
I feel like a hat or a badge would be very cool.
Or a vest.
Ooh, a vest.
Hi, Viz.
Is
No.
there in the budget for a vest? Put it in the notes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We offended Sean in his vest.
I'm pro vest.
See you over there.
I'm pro vest.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There you go. H10. Open mouth and serve flesh. H10, can I have a motion that the election inspectors, election officials, and machine operators for the 2025-26 annual budget vote and school board election held on May 20th, 2025 be approved at a rate of $125 per assigned shift?
So moved.
So moved by Ashley,
Seconded.
second by Mary. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. That is all of our action items. We have to get the, Brady's got next item of business is public expression. Just as a reminder, some topics are not permitted to be discussed in the public forum. For example, any topic related to an employee or that can imply to be related to an employee, special education, placements, individual student situations, etc. If the topic is inappropriate for the public forum, the board president and myself will instruct you not to speak, but rather present your concerns in writing for the board's discussion in executive session. We have one person signed up tonight, Jessica Reyna.
I want to thank Ashley for highlighting CTSA membership. We are 2 people away from our goal of 500, and the reason we have that number is to try and cover our expenses. Our main expense is our insurance. I am so grateful for the CTSA and their insurance policy because they are covering the insurance for Bulldog Run Club. So I wanted to give you an update on Bulldog Run Club. So we will officially have a boys team and a girls team at Union Pleasant and at Charlotte Avenue. I had to turn off responses for the form because as of Sunday, we had 108 children between those 2 buildings in grades 3 through 5 interested in participating. We will not be able to accommodate all of those kids because we do not have enough volunteers. So I'm hopeful that in future seasons we can accommodate everybody because I feel like this really does demonstrate the need for more programming that is accessible for everybody, both in cost and location. Right now we have 4 head coaches. I am coaching the boys at Charlotte Avenue, and Marissa Watkins, who's a level 5 teacher, is coaching the girls. We have 2 parents at Union Pleasant who are going to be coaching, and they will have rosters of 15 to 16 kids. At Charlotte, Marissa will take 15 to 18, and I will have 25. Because that's just the number I've always taken. I hate to turn boys away, but I have over 46 boys at Charlotte Avenue who want to run, and I am so encouraged by that. And the other reason I'm encouraged is seeing these responses come in. The 5K that we are holding, the It Takes a Village 5K, is using the money that we raise to be put back into the district for extracurricular activities. We have a Google form that is live for teachers or staff members who facilitate a group, a club, an after-school activity to go ahead and request funding. And as of right now, we have 2 forms submitted, but it's open until, I think, May 10th. But did you know that one of our staff members would love to start a small engine repair club for middle school students? So these are the kind of passion projects that might be a small group of kids, but for those kids, that could be really impactful for their future. So I would encourage you all to share anything you see regarding Bulldog Run Club. I think it's going to be amazing. Share the 5K event because the more people that sign up, the more money we raise and the more we can give back to this district and to our students. And look out for updates because our logo is set for both things. We are ready to print shirts. We are ready to celebrate everybody, and we're excited about what the future holds for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bulldog Run Club, it's exciting.
Seeing no other persons sign up for public expression and no further business this evening, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I have a point of order.
Oh.
I have something I'd like to speak as a member of the public, even though I didn't sign up. Am I allowed to do that?
Unfortunately, you're not a member of the public.
Oh, well, I didn't want to speak as part of as an update, because it's not an update as a member of the board, but I would speak it as, if I could be a member of the public and sign up, I would want to say it. Can I say something like that? Can I do that? Can I just make
Is
it
it a
like
fun update about something you're gonna be happening?
Yes.
That's happening at the
Yes.
end of the building?
That's, I would normally just put that in your update.
Yeah, but, okay.
Yeah, well, what is it?
What is it? I just wanted to make a really quick announcement, I swear to God, really fast. That in May, I would be starting the bike bus up again. And so if you know of kids that live in Charlotte or in the Union Pleasant area and they would like to ride their bike to school, I will be starting that up again. Let me know. You can find me on Blue Sky.
All right.
All right, yeah. Yeah, you do that year before.
Well, it's not me as official.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
She's
It's me as a civilian.
Yeah, stuff like that, just bring up in here.
Okay. Done.
Okay, now being no further business, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Wait.
So moved.
So moved by Ashley. Second. Second by Rich, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes, we are adjourned, thanks everybody.
It's a very, that's like a